Like any other country in the world, Vietnam does face some environmental challenges. One of the biggest environmental challenges Vietnam faces is air pollution. What's up, everyone? In this podcast, you are going to learn a lot of useful words and phrases to talk about the environment. First, we're going to talk about the environment in Vietnam. And then I'm going to tell you 3 positive stories related to the environment. And make sure to watch till the very end because I have a really interesting update coming up for the channel. So I just said we'll talk about 3 positive stories about the environment. Yes, positive. Because I don't know about you, but when I think about the environment, most of the things that come to my head are negative. I think about natural disasters, climate change, global warming, pollution. The word environment has now become a bit of a negative word in my head. So that's why not only will you learn a lot of words and phrases, but with these positive stories, I hope it will make you feel a bit better and more positive as well. But before we get started, what's up, everyone? My name is Carter, and I make content that you can actually understand to help you improve your listening skills, boost your vocabulary, and even your pronunciation if you shadow me. And this content is designed to help you get from the early stage all the way to the intermediate stages where you can start listening to whatever English content you want. So in this podcast, there will be a lot of words and phrases that might be new to you. Don't expect to learn everything right away, okay? It's just not realistic. You might learn some words and then forget them in a day or two. That is totally normal. But that's why it's really important to listen to this podcast more than once. You can listen to it 2 or 3 times, or go back to my other podcasts and review the words there. The point is, you should listen more than once to help you remember these words long term. All right, so let's get started. First, we are going to talk about the environment in Vietnam. Not just the environment, but the geography and the climate as well. So, some general facts about Vietnam. Vietnam from north to south is around 1,600 kilometers long. Another way to say that would be 1,600 kilometers long. The north is more temperate than the south because the north has 4 seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall, while the south only has 2 seasons. And what I saw online, it said the 2 seasons are rainy or dry. Even though those aren't really seasons, I would say it has spring and summer, maybe. But it's either rainy or dry in the south. All right, so Vietnam's geography has mountains, hills, forests, rivers, deltas, and a long coastline that goes along the East Sea. Now, fun fact, you might see the word South China Sea when you read English. Now, South China Sea is really commonly used among Westerners, and this name came from European explorers in the 14th century, because at that time, China was a huge part of Asia. They did a lot of trade with Europe, and so that country was a good reference. They saw this sea. It was to the south of China, a major country. So they just called it the South China Sea. And now that name has stuck ever since then. Technically, it can also be called the East Sea, but the South China Sea is more common in English. All right, so back to Vietnam. Another fun fact about Vietnam is it's one of the 25 most biologically diverse countries in the world, which means it is in the top 25 countries of having the most variety of life, the most variety of plants and animals. And these animals might include a lot of insects and creatures in the rainforests, right? And many different plants. But Vietnam is in the top 25, so that's pretty interesting. So Vietnam is home to 16% of the world's species, including unique and rare animals and plants. So Vietnam also has a few national parks and protected areas to conserve its ecosystems and wildlife. One of these parks is called Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng National Park, which is also a UNESCO heritage site. So, like any other country in the world, Vietnam does face some environmental challenges. One of the biggest environmental challenges Vietnam faces is air pollution. The two major cities in Vietnam, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, are in the top 15 most polluted cities in Southeast Asia. But to be honest, after I went to Mumbai, India, for a week, it felt like the air here was very clean compared to Mumbai. Wow. If they are not the number one, then I honestly can't imagine what the number one most polluted place is. But anyway, I don't know about you guys, but for the air pollution, I always wear a good mask. Not just the typical surgical masks, but I wear a 3M mask that really fits your face and filters a lot of the pollution out. So the air pollution is a serious problem, but I notice many people still don't wear masks, or they wear masks that don't really fit the face. I highly recommend you get a good mask because long term, the pollution can do quite a bit of damage. And of course, the main things that cause air pollution are transportation, industrial activities like factories, manufacturing, construction, and waste management. Okay, so one thing you might not know is that Vietnam is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change, because Vietnam experiences natural disasters like typhoons, floods, droughts, and landslides. And all of these things can happen more often due to climate change. But there is good news, and that is Vietnam has been implementing various environmental laws and policies to improve the environment. And they're also making investments in renewable energy to be less reliant on coal and fossil fuels. So that is a rundown of the environment in Vietnam. And now we're going to talk about 3 positive stories worldwide related to the environment. The first one is that the ozone layer is being restored. So what is the ozone layer? Well, it's basically a shield that surrounds the Earth and absorbs most of the sun's harmful UV radiation, also known as ultraviolet radiation. So this problem was discovered around in the 80s when they discovered that the ozone was thinning, especially in the Arctic. And this area was known as the ozone hole. What caused this thinning of the ozone layer was mostly man-made chemicals. The most common chemicals were called CFCs, and these were used in refrigeration, air conditioning, and aerosol sprays, like hairsprays. So this hole in the ozone was a problem because it has an impact on not only the environment, but also our health. For example, it could cause higher rates of skin cancer and cause damage to our ecosystems. So in 1987, there was an international treaty called the Montreal Protocol. Maybe you can guess where that happened. If you guess Montreal, you're right. And that's in Canada. Woo! So it happened in Montreal, and at this Montreal Protocol, countries decided to phase out the production and the consumption of chemicals that depleted the ozone. This made a really positive impact, and the ozone layer has been recovering since the late 1990s. And now the scientists expect the ozone to return to its pre-1980 levels by the middle of the 21st century. So that is around 2050. That is pretty great news if you ask me. I think it's something positive. So the next story we're going to talk about is Colombia increases its reforestation target. Now, reforestation is the opposite of deforestation. Deforestation means to cut down trees, and reforestation means to replant trees. So, Colombia has increased its reforestation target to 750,000 hectares by 2026. Now, what is a hectare? You've probably heard the word hectare, but you can't really visualize what it is. So a hectare is 2 football fields side by side. It is 10,000 square meters. So think of it like 100 meters by 100 meters, because a football field is 50 meters by 100 meters. So a hectare is 2 football fields, 100 by 100. So that is quite a lot of land to restore rainforests too. It is quite a big deal because the previous government's goal was only 120,000 hectares in the next 4 years. But the new government's goal is 750,000 hectares by 2026. So that was nearly a 6-fold increase of how much they were going to do. 6-fold means like 6 times more. And Colombia is similar to Vietnam in that it has a rich biodiversity and lots of rainforests. So this reforestation plan is quite important to retain its natural landscapes. All right, so the last positive story is that France has banned single-use plastics. Single-use plastics are what they sound like. They are plastics that can only be used one time. And generally, these plastics cannot be recycled. So once they are used, they are thrown out and then they end up in landfills or in the ocean. And generally, it's not good. So these single-use plastics are things like plastic straws, plates, cups, cutlery, and more. Now, the goal of this ban in France is to reduce plastic pollution, encourage the use of sustainable materials like paper, and reduce the harm to marine life and ecosystems that are affected by plastic pollution. Now, marine means of the ocean, of the sea. So when we say marine life, it means life in the ocean or life in the sea. So So hopefully this ban inspires other countries to do the same thing, because that's often how these movements start. All right, guys, so before I tell you the exciting news about What's Up English, remember to download the PDF, which has the transcript and the list of highlighted words that you saw in the subtitles for this podcast. And if you enjoyed this video and it was useful for you, please do me a huge favor and just like the video. And if you want to keep learning every week, then make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you know when I release a new video. So, as for the exciting update for What's Up English, let me begin by saying thank you to all the people who have donated to my channel and have asked how to donate to the channel. I really love your support. It means so much, but I feel weird, to be honest, asking for donations or posting my bank account in the description. So instead of asking you guys for donations and relying on donations, I am making a store that will sell extremely useful PDF and audio files for a low price, very low price, that will help you practice your listening skills and help you increase your vocabulary and just help you get better at English in general. So the first product I'm launching is called the 1,000 Most Common Words in English. Yes, not 100, not 500, 1,000. And these words will include the IPA pronunciation in American English, the meaning of the word, and example sentences for every word. Now, this file will have a PDF and an audio file, so you can practice your listening and you can read along to practice your pronunciation. It even comes with a study guide that will show you how you can learn and practice 10 new words each day. So it will only take a bit over 3 months to learn the 1,000 most common words in English. This is really useful because 80% of the English you hear and what I say in daily life only uses around 1,000 words. So with 1,000 words, you will be able to understand 80% of daily life English because we really don't use that many words. So that will be the first PDF plus audio file I release in the store, but there will be many more new ones for conversation, for your listening, and you guys can let me know in the comments what you want, and I will do my best to create a really useful, high quality PDF and audio file for you. So guys, again, make sure to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and if you want to keep learning, then check out this video right here to continue learning English. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.